we're finishing up Siman Yud. We're up to Siman Yud, Sif Yud Aleph. So Sif Yud Aleph and Sif Yud Beis is actually very Yesodistic, and there are a lot of begadim that we wear that have four corners that don't have tzitzis. And the question is, why? Like the most common one that I'll think about, we'll talk right now, is like a zip-up hoodie. Your coat right there, your coat. Two, corner, 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 corner. There are four corners. Why don't you wear tzitzis? So the Mechaber says, Suder shenoisin al tzavor b'malchus Eretz Yisrael shenikva arbi shayid v'chein buka shenoisin b'sfard al kasfeim peturim. These are basically, pretty sure shayid means something else nowadays, but basically it means they would have these large scarves that they would sort of wrap around their shoulder, like a pashmina. So l'chora, if it's, now again, for a beged to be chayiv in tzitzis, it has to be big enough. Big enough means, let's say, to cover an am in the front and am in the back. So most scarves that you wear are not wide enough, but this is a pashmina. It's a very large, like, scarf that they would wrap around themselves. So why? Says the Mechaber, it's potter from tzitzis. Why? The Mishnah Berurah says, even though it's large enough to cover a young child, which is the shear, it's still potter. No explanation. Why isn't it potter? He says, I am Bir Halacha. So let me read you the Bir Halacha. It's a lengthy Bir Halacha, but I'm going to go through. The Bir Halacha says like this. Hatam lezeh kasa Beis Yosef. The Beis Yosef is already bothered. Why do we not put tzitzis on these large scarves? Sheikar havos asdurim haim etchilo kedei lasativ b'm svivas haroish b'nei akar v'lasesel al haroish b'zman hachoim. So he says, answer number one, says the Beis Yosef, is because back then these scarves were really meant to cover your head. They were really meant to wear as like a turban type thing. Every once in a while it would go down the shoulders, but be'ikr, it was meant to cover the head. Once it's meant to cover the head, it's not a beged that's chayiv in tzitzis, because itaf haroish loish me'itaf. That's answer number one. Then says the Mechaber, a second reason, the Beis Yosef says, he says back then you would wear this scarf not really to cover yourself, to clothe you or to warm you, but rather they would use it as like a rudimentary belt. They would hang stuff from it. They would hang it down and like wipe their hands if their hands got wet. But a baker wasn't really a beged. It was more just like a kerchief thing that they would wrap around themselves. The litzor b'mois, they would hang money in it. Lahav ben peris, if they had extra fruit, they would wrap the fruit in it. Kaneh chaseya. So all of these things, so it's not really a beged. It's not really a beged. Now, here's the issue though. Our scarves or our pashminas, whatever, are neither. It's not to cover the head, and it's not just to wipe your hands. It's a beged. So says the Bir Halacha. Nowadays that they have these large scarves, wide scarves, these reasons don't apply. So l'chora it should be chayv in tzitzis. But says the Bir Halacha. There are other reasons brought down to the Beis Yosef, namely that it could be you have to wear it. Wrapping yourself in something is not a beged. Beged has to be worn in a proper way, like a pants and a shirt. This is just wrapping. It's not considered wearing. Another reason, by the way, we'll see in a moment, is the Ramah holds that you're only chayiv in tzitzis if it's two front corner, two in the back and two in the front. Your jackets, they're all in the front, and a lot of scarves hang both in the front. Could be another reason, but the Bir Halacha says he's not so confident why we don't do it. We don't put tzitzis on scarves. The kitzur means we don't put. He says I'm not really sure why not. Therefore, it's better to round one corner if you can. Just to finish up in Sif Yud Beis. Yud Beis says the Mechaber Malbushim Shem Mitzrayim Hanikroim Guchash v'chein Mintig v'Dulamish v'Kaptanish uPaidinish Shebetur Magia. These are all different begadim. We don't know what they are, but they were begadim. You don't have to put on tzitzis. Now it says the Ramah like this: "V'hu adin malbushim shel galilas b'nei Ashkenaz Sfarad, hoyil ve'ein kafei masum sheyir shnaim lefnei meshnaim lachreim mechuvan mezekazeh peturim." Says the Ramah, the big chiddush, and that's your coat. The Ramah says if you have a coat or a jacket where it's the two corners are on the top by the lapels, it's 1, 2, and then the bottom is 3, 4. Every zip up is the same thing. It's 4. Says the Ramah. It's only chayiv in tzitzis if it's 2 in the front and 2 in the back. If all 4 corners are in the front or all 4 corners are in the back, it's not chayiv in tzitzis. That says the Ramah. The Mishnah Berurah brings down, he says like this, Malbush HaKohen Rek, Shemechuber L'mayl Chatichas Begin Murubas U'Menocham HaKseifa Ma'choyrev, Posheru de Potter, another type of beged. They basically would have these begadim. Okay, in a suit, you have the two corners in the front, and then there's always like a flap in the back. So it's another two corners in the back. It's actually potentially six corners, but it's dalit kanfas. So why is it not chayiv? So we already talked about this last time. It's only chayiv if it's split up half roiv. It has to be open roiv, and most suits are not open roiv. Apparently, they had these suits where they had the two corners in the front, and then they had like two corners by the shoulders. They had like an extra piece of material that would like sort of rest by the shoulder blades. So it was like two corners like that. So l'char is dalit kanfas. So it says the Mishnah Berurah quoting Ramah. He says, it's only dalit kanfas if they're equal. So it doesn't just have to be front and back. It has to be where they're actually equal. So the two in the front have to have two in the back on the same height. But over here, the two in the back are taller. They're higher up. Okay. Says the Mishnah Berurah. He says like this. But at the end of the day, because these halachas are a bit unclear as to why we don't put tzitzis on all these things, you're seeing like a theme. The theme is basically like, we don't put tzitzis on these things. And we're trying to figure out why. Therefore, it's always better to have one corner rounded. And especially nowadays, the kapota is with Chabad wear. Kapota and rekels is the litish. It's the same thing. It's two in the corner, two in the front, and there's a split in the back. And Chabad, it goes pretty high up. The split could be roiv. If it's open roiv, you mamish have dalit kanfas. Therefore, it's better to have one side rounded, which is always the case. By Chabad, if you look in my father's kapota, one corner is round and one corner is a right angle to avoid shilas of tzitzis. So Mishnah Berurah says, it's better to make one corner rounded to avoid any shilas of tzitzis. I'll stop here.